What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday. Today, we're going to talk about some trade ideas regarding your Portland Trail Blazers. We're going to react to some trade ideas. We're going to talk about the value in these trade ideas. There's a couple of articles out there that we're going to react to, a couple of which we might have seen already, a couple of which hopefully we haven't. It's always fun to react to trade ideas live. I'm also watching the Mariners playing extra innings, in case you're wondering why I'm looking to my left here. This game has been insane. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good start to your week, chat. Let me know what you did this weekend in the live chat. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing? What'd you do this weekend?
Let's see. Didn't do much Friday or Sunday, but Saturday went to
Whoa.
sorry, that was loud. Saturday went to Bullwinkle's, and you know what that is, like the family fun center. And then my son had like an end of the year soccer party. So
Nice, nice. That's fun. That's fun. Yeah, hopefully
how about you,
chat.
Tori?
I don't know. I didn't do anything this weekend. I basically just sat at home, so I have no answer to that. But yeah, just I might be distracted until this game's over. We'll see. I'll try my best. But we're gonna recap Game 2 of the finals a little bit. We're going to talk about some trade ideas. It's gonna be a chill little stream. We don't have much time left until the draft. I think next stream we need to do a mock draft. It's been a minute since we've done one of those, so I think that's the plan for Thursday. You got less than what? You got almost 2 weeks left until the draft, which is crazy. There haven't been a ton of draft workouts for the Blazers for the 11th pick, at least public draft workouts. Who knows if they're doing things behind closed doors like they did a little bit last year, but we got 15 days, 18 hours, 43 minutes, and 30 seconds left until day one of the NBA draft. We'll have the live stream for that. We'll also live stream day two, which is round two of the NBA draft, and then we'll live stream the first day of free agency on June 30th. Those are our biggest streams of the year, so make sure you put that on your calendar. Make sure you tune in for that. Hit subscribe, hit the bell button, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to discussing some trade ideas. I feel like it's been a minute since we've dove in on some trade ideas. So before we do that, though, we lost Eric. Yeah, beautiful. We love the way Eric just disappears on streams now. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But man, let's just jump into game two real quick. If Eric would stop disappearing on me, that would be amazing. That would be great. All right. Can you stop disappearing on me?
I'm not doing
um, all right. Well, if the stream will allow you, I want your thoughts on game two. The Pacers kept it close for the first half, especially the first quarter, and then OKC had one of those third quarters, man, in one going away. What were your thoughts? Was this a sign of things to come in this series, or was this just OKC evening it up and it's going to be a long series? What do you think after watching game two?
it. I was kind of flipping back and forth the entire game, like, oh, okay, OKC's imposing its will, and then, but also thinking like the Pacers haven't really played good in this game either, so they still got to feel like they have a chance in the series. So I can see it either way. Just it's tough when the Pacers, the game was pretty close in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden, the Thunder were up like 13 or something like that within like a couple minutes, it seemed like. And the Pacers, they struggle when they get bogged down, I think, in their offense. They need to find a way to push the tempo, but also not turn the ball over. And yeah, so hopefully they can figure out how to do that to make this a compelling series. But yeah, I don't think it's over by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that Oklahoma City is now feeling pretty good about themselves, and Indiana could have maybe put some serious doubt in this series if Oklahoma City could win, and may have done some stuff to them mentally if they would have gone up 2-0. But now it's I think it's swung back into Oklahoma City's favor. Mariners lose.
Walk-off grand slam.
Ooh. Was it tied?
Yeah.
Or were you up?
No, it's time.
This could have been worse. You could have gone up.
No. That's Mariners were down 4-0 in the top of the ninth with 2 outs. And scored 4 runs, all with 2 outs to tie the game. And then got 2 more hits after that, but couldn't score. And then went to the 11th inning. And, of course, even with a runner on second, couldn't score the 10th, couldn't score the 11th. And, yeah, it's brutal out here, man. Just brutal way to lose. They had a guy they just called up from the minor leagues today hit a 2-run tying home run with 2 outs. And it was against his former team. So it was just a 6 storyline. But 6 storylines for the Mariners just end up in heartbreak and end up making me feel freaking sick. So anyway, moving on.
What other team scored a bunch of runs in the 9th inning with 2 outs and ended up winning the game?
Who's that?
My Oregon State Beavers. They're headed to Omaha.
Congratulations to you, Beavers fans. I need MLB to PDX right now because I'm disgusted. Anyway, what better time than to talk about basketball, though? A real sport. Just kidding. So I'm on the record. Pacers winning Game 3. That's my prediction. I am sticking by it. I think they bounce back. I think they'll adjust. I don't know what those adjustments are, but they're struggling getting to the rim. The funny thing is it's not like. Well, let me pull up the right box score. I was looking at Game 1, and I was about to reference some wrong stats. They shot 35% from 3. In Game 2, OKC shoots 39%, but OKC gets into the paint, scores a lot more efficiently in the paint. SGA still gets his like he did in Game 1, but Jalen Williams was better. Chet Holmgren was better. Chet Holmgren was really, really good the first half. And then Aaron Wiggins off the bench, 18. Alex Caruso, 20. Those other guys really stepped up. I think the Pacers are going to come back to Indiana, and I think they're going to play like their hair's on fire. This is not hard-hitting basketball analysis. I just feel like, that stadium's going to be rocking. That home court advantage is going to be legit. I feel like they're going to just go on a barrage at some point this game. That'll help them win it. I don't know when it will happen, but that's my prediction. I think Halliburton will be a little bit more aggressive. He kind of got going off the ball there in the second half of that game, so I would look for maybe a little bit more of that, but he was held in check pretty much the entire game, and that's what the Thunder do. But I feel like he's going to at least run the offense a little bit better, and I feel like you're going to have a big game from like Nesmith, Siakam, I think will be better. He was only 3 for 11 in Game 2. So I think the Pacers win by about 5 points. That's my prediction in Game 3. I'm rooting for them. We'll see what happens. They at least have to split it. Might have to win both Game 3 and Game 4 because the Thunder are a really good home team, but the Pacers are a really good road team, so who knows. Just excited for this series to go back to Indiana to see what those games look like. The Uprise says, I'm with Tori. OKC can't win this year. They're going to be so dominant for years. Yeah, if they win a championship this year, man, with the way they're set up for the next decade, it's maybe still a little too early to have dynasty talks, but like they're positioned to be a dynasty. They're positioned to basically run the league for the next decade. If any team can run the league for the next decade, given the new CBA, so...
Yeah, they've done a really nice job of limiting Tyrese from being able to penetrate too much. So Hallie's got to find a way to get to the rim a little bit, or at least get into the paint to collapse the defense, because he hasn't done a good job of collapsing the defense in the series.
Yep. Anyway, I'm still in a bad mood because of that game, man. I'm really not happy right now. I need to get off Mariners Twitter.
I know what will make you feel better.
What will make me feel better?
the Blazers trading for players you will hate for them to trade for.
Yeah. So, is there any Blazer topics you want to talk about before we get into reacting to trade ideas? Because I feel like we haven't touched upon the Blazers as much as we maybe could have in previous streams, but there haven't really been a ton of storylines either. I feel like we're just kind of waiting for news to drop, rumors to drop, more workouts. We haven't really had any notable workouts recently, so I'm not really sure what there is to talk about, but is there anything on your mind? Or chat, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about regarding the Blazers in the live chat before we react to trade ideas, let us know in the chat. But Eric, do you have anything?
Well, the Blazers did hire a couple assistants.
True.
Well, three actually. We never talked about the first one. Forget his name, but it was like a G League champion from the Kings. And then Tiago Splitter, that'll be cool to have him on the bench. And he's actually credited with a lot of Şengün's development as a center. So that'll be cool to have a slightly different big man coach. Roy Rogers just wasn't getting it done. So, and then, I forget the other guy's name too, but it was the Taylor Jenkins, lead assistant in Memphis. So, I mean, I don't know much about that guy, but just good to have some new blood, I think, in the coaching tree there.
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of a non-conversation for me because the Blazers recycled their whole coaching staff last offseason, and it didn't really look any different, and now they're doing it again. So to me, it's like, okay. I mean, I guess they look better defensively, but offensively, offensively it didn't look any different, and Chauncey admitted their issues there in the exit interview that he had. I think offensively the growth is going to come from Chauncey. I don't really trust him or his assistants to like rely upon assistant coaches. I think it's just going to have to come from Chauncey, if that makes sense. Like, he's going to have to get a little bit more creative, learn how to coach offense better. I don't really know. He said he's going to put in that work this offseason. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I would think if he was really relying on his assistants offensively, I would think the offense would look a bit more different last season. Now, they did talk about how they put in a new offense. I think that was more so just they're not going to spam Jeremy isolations. And, we still saw a lot of the three-man weave, dribble handoff, above the arc type stuff in a lot of isolation basketball and not much player movement. So you look at the way OKC and Indiana play, they're always moving. It's something the Blazers have to figure it out. I hope that these assistant coaches can help Chauncey in that regard, but I just have to wait and see after they brought in a new assistant coaching staff last offseason and didn't see any results offensively from it.
Yeah, but at least we kind of like Bjorkgren, especially when he took over for a couple of games. He does get a little annoying with how much he's up there standing next to Billups, but I don't know if that's like a good or a bad thing. It's just I think he does a little too much during games. But the other guys, we still had a couple of holdovers that needed to go, and then we let go of one of our assistants after one season, so obviously they didn't like what he was bringing to the table. Memphis, though, had some interesting offenses with I don't know how much was this guy or how much was Taylor Jenkins, but they did try to do a lot without running pick and roll. They were trying to establish like an offense without doing it. They ran the least amount of pick and rolls by far in the league.
So I actually did some research on this. I think it was a different coach, but basically last year what the Grizzlies tried to do, and other teams started to copy this actually, was basically whenever someone drives, you cut the direction of the drive. So if somebody's driving from the top of the key to the right, the guy in the right bottom corner cuts baseline, the guy on the right wing goes down to the right quarter, and then on the opposite side, they fill him behind. And it basically just creates a lot of complications for defenses with their rotations, because rotations are kind of designed to rotate to set spots. So if everybody's moving and kind of rotating, it can really confuse defenses that get stuck in rotation and have to help on drives. And I do think that's a good philosophy for the Blazers that drive a ton. It is, you need more movement off the ball when guys drive and when guys have the ball in their hands. But apparently it was a different assistant coach that basically did that. I forget where he did that at a previous stop, a lower level. I think it was college. And had a lot of, or maybe it was high school even, had a lot of success and was a Grizzlies assistant last season. And basically what they did in one of his prior stops, they started doing in Memphis last year. I forget who that assistant was, but I do think that's the Blazers need to put in place some principles in terms of like how players move when players drive, when the ball's entered into the high post, low post. Like, they need movement principles. So hopefully Patrick St. Andrews can, which is the name of the guy they got from the Grizzlies, hopefully he can help install some of that stuff. I don't know. The Blazers just need to be less static offensively, so hopefully that's a value add there.
Yeah, please. I'm like nervously anticipating next year being the same, but hoping for different results.
Yeah. Is it weird that I'm a little bit more worried about our defense? Not that I think the defense is going to be worse, but because I think the defense is what needs to be good, and I don't necessarily trust them to be a borderline top 10 defense with who I expect them to have on the roster next year. Like, I expect the offense to be bad. I'm more worried about the defense not being what it needs to be in order for this team to be competitive.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk about that. I'm assuming one of these trade ideas you're going to bring up is one that we'll discuss this topic further. So, yeah. Because there was some commentary about one of the guys that I saw in Portland trade. If we could talk about it if it's not one of them. But yeah, I'll save that for when we get to it.
Yeah. I mean, all these trade ideas, a conversation we like to have is just basically, okay, what does the new roster construction after this trade look like on the floor? Or at least what do we think it would look like on the floor? I think for the Blazers to be competitive, they need to have a top 10 defense next year. I don't think they're going to have an above average offense unless Chauncey takes major strides, and maybe this new assistant coaching staff can help him do so. It's not like they have a go-to scorer. They're basically going into next year like, hopefully Deni Avdija can be our number one guy, but he is not really proven at all at a high level being that number one guy. I think he has potential to be a 20-point per game guy, 5-6 assists per game. But is that a number one guy on a good offense? You look at teams that make jumps, like all of them have a guy that jumped to stardom offensively, and I just don't expect the Blazers to have that player next year other than maybe Deni, but I don't expect him to be. He's not going to be Cade Cunningham, for example. Maybe he can have an Alperen Şengün level impact, but the Rockets' defense was absolutely elite. Their offense actually was not that good. It was right around middle of the pack. So for the Blazers to take a jump to being competitive next year, it's going to have to come on the defensive end, and they're going to have to fully commit to that side of the ball if they want to be competitive next year. And I just don't think a starting lineup with Anthony Simons, Shane Sharpe, DeAndre Ayton is committing fully to the defensive side of the ball. I feel like that's kind of basically committing to, we're probably going to have a mediocre to maybe slightly above average defense, and then our offense is still going to struggle just like it did last year and the year before with those guys, and that's just the makings for a non-play-in team for a bottom 5 seed in the West, especially in a loaded West. So I think that's something to have in mind as we talk about these trade ideas and we have these trade discussions, because it would be nice to improve the offense, but without getting a true number one guy or a true difference maker or just a lot more shooting, because that's the biggest need, it's going to be hard to substantially improve the offense to the point where like they could be, 10th to 15th defensively and still be potentially a top 8 seed in the West. Like, they got to be good at something, and it's going to be a lot easier for them to be good defensively. I'm just not sure their starting lineup is going to be a good defensive starting lineup for that.
Yeah, especially after Chauncey Billups had an interview on KTU, the local ABC affiliate here. And did you hear what he said about the starting lineup?
I saw somebody have a quote about DA, but I didn't listen to it. Did you actually listen to it?
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe it, so please tell me.
Yeah, so
I know
Chauncey
what you're about to say.
Basically said DeAndre Ayton's the starter if he's on the team. So
why?
I don't know.
Why? Not even a battle. I mean, this is just the idiocracy that we have, unfortunately. Yeah. Where it's like, if you believe in DA, okay, fine. But just say, putting him in Sharpe in as the starter when statistically the Blazers were a better team last year with Donovan Clingan on the floor and not him, and especially how he's been the first half of seasons where his effort has been super inconsistent to downright terrible the first half of the 2 seasons he's been here. Taking all that into account, and on June 9th, just putting his name in Sharpe in as the starter when you drafted Clingan 7th, apparently might have had him number 1 on their big board. That is insane to me and completely illogical. You make DA earn that starting role. I don't care that he's paid a max contract. Well, I do. He's paid way too much. As far as like hierarchy and starting lineup or this or that, I don't care what he's paid. Okay? If he's not the best center on the team, which I don't think he will be next year, he should not be starting. But just to completely shut that door right now is just completely insane to me. Completely insane to me. And basically, to me, that just makes it sound like, yeah, Clingan's not going to get a real shot to start. Like, we're just going to overvalue our vets again. This is why I want Anthony Simons traded, Eric. I know it's like what they should do if they have, they should handle it correctly, and that's been a conversation. But what have I said every time we have this Simons versus Scoot conversation? It's just like, I always expect Chauncey Billups to overvalue veterans and overplay veterans, even if they're playing worse than the young guys that are behind them. I don't trust him to balance that out in a way that makes any sort of sense. And that quote just, I think, proves that point. The fact that he's sitting here right now, if DA's here, he's the starter, and it's just automatic and no thought given to it.
Yeah, see, the whole premise of the turnaround last offseason was, I don't care what your contract is, I don't care who you are, what you've done in the past, I'm going to play the players who bring it on the court and who do what I want to do on the court. So why on earth would you then just have someone be the incumbent starter without any sort of positional battle? Or like, why would you just give that to him? It really seems like they have to with DA, otherwise they're afraid they'll like lose him or whatever, which is exactly why you and I have never wanted him on this team.
I mean, but at this point, it's like, if you lose him, you lose him. You got Clingan, you got Robert Williams. Like, go sign a 4-5. Go sign a Mamu Kelashvili or someone who defensively as a backup 5 is going to struggle, but at least he can shoot the ball and you need just shooting, right? Like, you don't need to... You're putting trying to cater to DA, if that's the case. You're putting trying to cater to his emotions above the team, which is bad. If you get asked that question, you don't have to sit there and say, yeah, we want Donovan Clingan to start over him next year. You don't have to say that. You can just say, well, we have a lot of talent on this team, and like, players are going to go and compete in training camp, and we'll see who looks good. Like, we're going to start the best 5 players. Like, you can say that. And then DA, all right, if you're the best center on this team, go prove it in training camp. Like, Show up ready to give effort, show up ready to compete consistently, show up with at least one thing improved. Nobody, that's the thing, is like DA's still young and people still talk about how he's still young enough to fit the timeline. Nobody expects him to improve anything going into next year, right? Like, I'd be shocked if he improved anything going into next year. He hasn't improved anything in like 3-4 years. So it's just silly stuff overall. And it's super frustrating. And I'm over it. Eric is easily triggered by comments that are obviously trolly. That's the Eric read a comment he didn't like deep sigh. That's what we call it. And the face Paul.
People are welcome to their own opinion, but please don't give your stupid opinions that are proven facts the opposite way. Like, it's dumb.
What comment are you talking about?
Clingan can't play starter minutes.
Here's the thing, man. Clingan can absolutely play 27 minutes a game, and you can have DA off the bench for 21. Like, Clingan played multiple games at the end of last year playing over 30 minutes in a game. Like, here's the problem with DA, and here's why I can't wait till he's off the team. In regards to talking about him as a basketball player, like, all the analysis is completely narrative driven, and it's not really driven upon what he does or does not do on the basketball court. And people will take how narrative driven DA is as a player because everybody wants to argue about the idea of DeAndre Ayton, because what he actually is never has lived up to the idea of DeAndre Ayton. So they'll take the narratives and just apply it to Clingan without any regard for what actually happened late last season, where he played multiple games over 30 minutes and was fine. Clingan had some of his best performances when he was playing higher minutes. If he gets in foul trouble as a starter, you have two other freaking centers, veteran centers, that you can play. It doesn't mean he can't start. But no, we have to assert DA as the starting center because, some people just love DA and have to insist that he's better than he actually is. So we have to throw narratives Clingan's way that are negative, that don't really have much basis in reality, to try and prop up Ayton to being the best center on this team and just like, yeah, they shouldn't even think about who they start as center next year. Even though literally the team was better with Clingan on the floor last year than DeAndre Ayton. They were 5 points better defensively per 100 possessions than they were about even offensively, right? That's a fact. That's not something you can argue, right? But that's the thing, is these conversations with people who love DeAndre Ayton, when you bring facts into them, it's never something that goes too well. It's because how do you just fight pure narratives with facts if people don't care about the facts? I don't know.
And again, I understand that part of a coach's job is keeping the culture, keeping everyone happy as best you can, and all that kind of stuff. But when you specifically say your season turned around when you started calling guys out and stopped giving them minutes to people who you thought had to give them, or because of their contracts or because of their personalities, massaging their egos, stuff like that. It turned around when they started playing the guys who were playing the best on the court and who were doing the things, especially defensively, that Chauncey wanted them to do. So then to turn around and say like that was the whole premise of what they said in their exit interviews and why they got extensions and all this crap, and then to turn around and then just say, oh, we're just going to go right back to starting DA because he's our starting center. Like, that makes no sense to me. And that's why I have no faith that Chauncey as a coach is going to ever change really or do anything drastically different outside of getting different players like he did with Denny last year, who kind of changed the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah. And the other problem with the DA conversation is like he's inconsistent, and every year he'll have like a 10-game stretch or an 8-game stretch where he looks good, and people that want to support him will cling on to that for life. Cling on to it and ignore everything else, and they will just cling on to that. And every time they reference a small sample size, like, oh, look how good he played during these 8 games or 10 games last year. Right? That's why he's better. They don't realize that they're actually self-sabotaging their own point, because the entire point is like, okay, yeah, he was solid during that stretch. It never lasts. That's why you're only referencing that 8-game stretch and not half a season or an entire season. You are literally proving our point in regards to you have to cherry pick a super small sample size from him last year to talk about him in a positive light, because that never lasts, and he never keeps it up, and it's never consistent. So that's the funny thing is, that's the argument that somebody made in chat. He played better during the 11-game stretch that we played well. That's why he's better. He missed 3 of those games, okay? So we're talking about an 8-game stretch. The first game he had, let's see. Oh, I was looking at plus minus, not points. Like, he played well during the stretch. He averaged 19 points, shot 60%. Cool. He had a good 8-game stretch. What about the rest of the season? What about the start of the season? That's the thing, is his inconsistency holds this team back, especially on the defensive end. Like, stop acting like DeAndre Ayton is who he is when he's playing his best, because you're ignoring the majority of everything else.
And it's funny when some of these same people who say that Anthony doesn't affect winning but puts up numbers then say that DA, look at his numbers. Like, what impact does he have on winning usually? He can put up numbers on a losing team. He can put up numbers on a winning team. It's not necessarily his play that dictates winning and losing. It's more of just okay, DA got his at least this game, like it's not, he doesn't have that big of an impact in every single analytical measure, both offensively and defensively, will tell you that.
Yep. So the Blazers last year, according to Basketball Reference, were 17-23 with Ayton in the lineup. They were 19-23 without him in the lineup. So if you want to try and make the case he helped us win last year, why did we win more games without him? Yeah, like if you want to make the case that he makes the team better, why was this team statistically better with Clingan on the floor last year? Stop cherry picking samples when it comes to DA. The narrative driven BS around DA, I'm just completely tired of it at this point, to be honest with you, man, because it's just like people will choose what they want to and just act like that's the rule with DA. Oh, he had a great 5-game stretch. He averaged 20 and 10. If he could just do that for 82 games, man, he'd be a star. We need to give him the chance, as if he hasn't had a chance for 5 years. So it's time to fully embrace Clingan. But at the end of the day, I'll let you talk in a second, but like I just want to make this point real quick. Even if what you say is true and Ayton just is just so amazing, you don't need to Sharpie him in as the starter. He's not good enough, even at his peak, to be automatically put in as the starter. And if you really think he should be, then you must think Clingan was the worst draft pick ever, because why are you drafting a center at 7 when you have supposedly a franchise center already and those two guys can't play together? Anyway, go on.
Well, why Zero says the argument shouldn't be about whether Ayton should start or not. It's whether Billups should start him or not. $35 million expiring contract coming off the bench is a terrible asset management. He has no value. What the heck does it matter if he starts or not? He doesn't have value in trades. So they're
not going to be able to trade him for anything at the deadline. Like, if they can trade him for something, they will be able to do it this offseason and should do it this offseason. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they can trade him for something now and don't do it, then that is terrible asset management. So that's the thing. If they have him going into the season and they bring him off the bench, it's just basically like, yeah, he has no value. That's why they didn't trade him, and that's why then they're now bringing him off the bench. So what does it matter if you just let him expire? It's not terrible asset management if he's not an asset. So if he's on this team and came off the bench next year, that would show you that he is literally not an asset, because teams don't want to pay a $35 million contract to a malcontent and a guy who you don't know who you're going to get on any given day.
Anyways, what I was going to say was that a lot of the lineup stats and analytics are a little skewed because the Blazers were so bad at the beginning of the season, and so the good stretches did help those a little bit, but Clingan played more during those times. And to me, see, this is the ultimate point I can make on the topic, is that a lot of those at the beginning of the season, it was Denny and Anthony that were struggling big time. And then when they started playing better, it wasn't DA playing better. DA was playing relatively the same most of the season. But the difference was when particularly Denny started playing like an all-star, and that transformed this team. Nothing Ayton did in that stretch was that drastically different than what he did at the end of the season before, or what he's done for stretches in the past.
Yeah.
It just doesn't impact winning that much.
Yeah, well, the point is he has to be set up. He has to be set up. He's not somebody that's going to create his own shot. He's not somebody that's going to give you immense defensive value. He's not a passer. His rebounding, like people just look at total rebounds and assume he's a good rebounder, but he's terrible at boxing out. He gives up too many offensive boards. The team was a really bad defensive rebounding team last year, and he was a major reason why. It's like, oh, he has a great stretch where he's, making some mid-range shots and being set up by guys that are playing better, like Denny, like Ant, like Scoot, right? And it's like cool, I guess, but he's not one of your guys that's really going to take charge and like have a legitimate impact on winning, right? Like, he had his best years when he was playing next to the point guard in Chris Paul and Devin Booker, right? Like, but he's regressed since then. I'd rather have a center that on his own impacts the game instead of needs to rely on other players, and if he's going to create his own shot, it's going to be like a fadeaway 9-foot hook shot where he's falling away from the rim, or it's going to be a fadeaway mid-range jumper where he shoots like one free throw every 3 games and walks back on defense. Like, he had a major issue at the start of last year walking back on defense. That was part of the reason why they were losing, is because they couldn't defend, and Ayton's energy and effort on that side of the floor was terrible. There's a reason they are 5 points worse defensively with him on the floor than Donovan Clingan. So at the end of the day, like, they don't have to trade him. I don't expect them to trade him. I expect him to be on the roster going into next season. And at the end of the day, like, I do expect him to start, but I absolutely hate just saying, oh yeah, if he's on this team, he's automatically the starter, when you drafted Donovan Clingan 7th overall and maybe had him number 1 on your big board, and when he was really solid as a rookie last year. And you also have Robert
in the area you're trying to build your whole culture, your whole identity is this defensive mantra, right? Like, yeah, this whole defensive side of the ball. We're locked in on defense now. We got that culture established. We're going to start from there this year instead of having to build up to it, right? That goes away if you're not playing the guys who made that defensive identity what it is. Like, I don't get it. That's like saying, I mean, what if he says Grant's the starter too over Denny or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like,
you know what I would want them to be telling Clingan right now? I'd want them to be telling him, listen, go work your ass off this offseason. You'll have a chance to start for us next year if you're the best center on the roster. We love what you can do defensively. You need to get better finishing around the rim. You need to maybe get a little bit quicker, get in a little bit better shape. But we love your intangibles. We love the little things you do. Just go work your butt off this offseason because you'll have a chance to start next year. That's what I would be telling Clingan. I would not be telling Clingan, yeah, you know what? We hope that you work really hard this season, but like when you come back, we have DA. He's starting no matter what. You're not going to start. Maybe we'll give you 20 minutes a game when Ayton's playing. But I mean, to them, if they're talking about Ayton like this, Chauncey's probably ready to play him 33 minutes a game to start next year. You know what I mean? Like, I already know that if they run it back, next season is going to be filled with just hair-pulling minutes decisions for players on this roster. Like, Ant could be 3 for 15. He's going to play 35 minutes. Scoot could be 7 for 13 with 6 assists and 1 turnover, and he'll play like 23 minutes type stuff.
I can't wait to have that conversation like 47 times next year. Great. This is one of the reasons, like, you guys, I know some of you think we just hate DeAndre Ayton or whatever, which might be true. But, correct. The reason why is I do not like players that you have to hand stuff to in order for them to be good or so you don't completely lose them, right? Like, yeah. I look at Denny last year, right?
Yeah.
Starts off tough, right? Gets benched. Did you lose Denny Avdia? Did you have to like worry about him crying and like pouting and on the court like giving up on plays and crap like that? No, he went out there and worked his butt off, figured it out, and was much better. And it was maybe he didn't need to be benched to figure it out. Maybe he just needed some time. Like who the heck knows if that's like what happened or not, or if that was a factor in him improving or not. But the fact is, you don't have to worry about a guy like that. You know he's going to freaking bring it no matter what role he's in, no matter what coach asks him to do, he'll go out there and do it. I hate these stupid athletes who have all the talent in the world. DeAndre Ayton is like the ideal size for a center. He's got athleticism. He's got shooting ability. He could be a defensive center if he wanted to, but like he's terrible on defense. Like, why is that? It's because his mindset and his approach to the game of basketball is absolute crap. And I do not like going to battle, especially if you're trying to become a playoff team or eventually a contender. I do not believe you can do it with guys like DeAndre Ayton unless your team is just so freaking good you can make up for it. And that's what Phoenix had to do for years, is just like constantly massage his ego and kind of like balance out this attitude problem while being good, and have like there was no reason for him to have conflicts with these guys, or you're winning games. Like that should be the goal, not I'm not treated as a number one option here, blah blah blah. Like that shouldn't be your mindset as a player, and I do not like having players like that. So I will take the Donovan Clingans and the Denny Avdias and Toumani Kamaras all frickin' day.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to build a culture, build an identity, and it's all on like playing hard work, playing defense. Like Ayton doesn't really fit into that, and automatically giving him the starting job goes completely against that. You should be cultivating competition over the offseason, going into training camp. Like, we're going to start the best 5, and we're trying to win basketball games next year. And it doesn't matter if you're an overpaid vet or somebody on the rookie contract. If you're the best player, you're going to start, you're going to earn your keep, right? And that should be the attitude with the players that are going to be on the roster. Now, if you want to make it so, you trade Ant for a pick, so Scoot starts, and you just want to give Scoot 35 minutes to like run with it because he's young and because he's improving and because he does work hard and because he improved a ton last year and is going to improve even more this year, like that's one thing. But to automatically give it to the guy that's overpaid, basically said he just cared about making it to his second contract, he's a max player, has nothing nothing to prove anymore, and is not improved over the last 4 years. Can't even buy a proper bed for the first half of last season, despite making $30-some million a year, and is sleeping on an air mattress type stuff. Like that's the guy that you're prioritizing while you're trying to build that culture of working hard and being competitive and doing what's right. It just goes against it for me, and that's the problem that I have with it. It was never going to be like a major problem with Ayton starting, mostly just because I'm resigned to that fact going into next year. But the whole attitude of it just being automatic just because he's DeAndre Ayton is just completely absurd for what they're trying to build. So I hate it. I hated that Chauncey comment. Like, you guys know I have a little bit of hope for Chauncey next year because going into the offseason, he talked about what he needed to improve on offensively and said all the right things, and I was like, okay, maybe this time he figures it out, despite it being him going into year 5 as a coach. Most wins he's ever gotten in the season is 36 wins, right? But maybe he's starting to figure it out. A quote like that just completely kind of kills that hope for me, because it's just an issue that he's had his entire time here that probably isn't going to get any better. Now, I will say this entire conversation really made me miss postgame shows. Like, I hate, I hate when they mismanage minutes, but I do enjoy venting about them mismanaging minutes. You know what I mean? Like, the good, the bad, the ugly. I enjoy the post-game shows for all of it. If you're new to the channel, we stream after every single game. This is one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to hate on him just to hate on him. We're just giving our opinions, and this is how we see it. And we'll try and back it up with as much substance as possible. But Ayton's going to be one of those guys once he's gone. Blazer fans aren't going to miss him unless they have an emotional attachment to him. Like, his production is not something that is vital for this team at all. And Clingan, I think next year will be a better center than him, but long-term absolutely will be. But Clingan does the little things to impact winning that Ayton doesn't, and it's hard for a lot of people to quantify that or take that into account when they can just go watch Ayton highlights and he looks super dominant on his highlight tape because he's athletic and hits all these middies, right? He's kind of the flashy player, and it's a lot easier to notice sometimes Ayton compared to the little things that Clingan does, right? Like, a lot of people, unfortunately, like, they don't see a player boxing out or missing a box out or missing a rotation or playing situationally bad defense, right? Like, just go back to the game against the Suns where they hit a game-tying 3 where Ayton just completely left Royce O'Neal wide open on the three-point line last year. Like, just that situational stuff is comically bad. So, anyway.
Let's go to some of these trades.
That's our Ayton rant for the month. That's our Ayton rant. That's me taking out my Mariners frustration on DA, right? I just went back to my my browser and I'm seeing Mariners tweets, and it's making me salty again because we're cursed. All right, let's go to Google. I'm just gonna go to Google. I'm gonna search Trailblazers trade, and I'm gonna go to news. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Oh, the first recommendation. Trailblazers unload DeAndre Ayton for all NBA replacement. I like that idea. I'm clicking on this one. Try not to have a coughing fit here. All right. Shout out to Maxwell Ogden with Rip City Project. This... I know it's probably not going to be realistic, Eric. I know you're groaning, but I just for some comfort, I really want to read the article that has the subtitle of Portland really moved DeAndre Ayton for an all-NBA replacement.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Sabonis trade. So the Blazers, oh God. This doesn't make me feel any better. The Blazers get Domantas Sabonis. The Kings get DeAndre Ayton, Matisse Thybulle, and multiple draft picks. I don't know what multiple draft picks means. I assume it means multiple first-round picks. No. right? Like, chat, would you do that trade? Let's say 2 first. Let's say it's I don't even know what first. It's probably be the
11.
let's say it's 11 in the best 2029 first. Would you guys do it? I'll do chat polls. Okay, I'm not gonna put the poll or the trade in the poll. I'm just gonna ask you guys, would you do it? So if you're not listening to me and you're just looking at the poll, you won't know what we're talking about, and that's okay. All right, would you do that trade? Yes or no? I say hell no. Maybe I should have added a hell no. Eric, I guess we can revisit this. We've talked about this before. Why would you do the trade or not do the trade?
So this wasn't the guy who I was going to have this conversation about, but it's similar type thinking.
Yeah.
And that is the Blazers, once again, built a defensive culture. I don't believe you can replace. I mean, because obviously if you get Sabonis, you're playing him 33 to 35 minutes a game at center, which means Clingan's only playing 15. Maybe you can find a way to play them both together for a few minutes or something. And so, in my opinion, you are sacrificing everything you've built on defense in terms of rim protection. And I think that was a critical part of the reason why the Blazers took off defensively was not only because Tamani became an all defensive player, but he was able to play a.
Come back. Eric, hello. Go on.
Yeah, he could play tighter up. He could take more gambles. He could try to draw fouls, things like that, because he knew he had Clingan back there protecting the rim. And same with Denny and those kind of guys. So, in my opinion, if you then switch it back to a horrible rim protector who does not do anything well on defense other than maybe help defense and just positionally, he knows where to be. He's just not that athletic. He can't protect the rim, and he doesn't really. He's not quick enough to stay in front of people. Like if you switch him on the perimeter, things like that. So, and he's not super tall as a center either. So it's not like Clingan who can make up space with his massive frame, and contest shots still. So, in my opinion, you're basically making the Blazers back to a below average defensive team while only slightly improving the offense. So I don't think that's worth it. And I don't think I would want to give up many assets to do so. Now, if you could get Sabonis or a player like that with only giving up minimal assets, if it's 8 and 11, I mean, that value might be too good to just say no to. So I'd understand it. But I don't think adding a guy like Sabonis would help our situation, because then we're right back to square one with like a horrible defense again.
Yeah, I fully agree. Sabonis is a below average defender. Sharpe are below average defenders. You're not going to have a good defense with those three in the starting lineup. Sabonis is not a number one player on a good team. Might not even be a number two player. I like Sabonis. He's a Gonzaga guy. And obviously the Sabonis connection, like I'm a fan of him, but he needs a specific team and needs to play a specific role if that team's going to win a championship or contend for a championship, and the role that he'd play on the Blazers is different than that. He does the little things well. Like the article said, was number one in screen assists, number one in box outs. So, I mean, that's quite the improvement there, going from DA to Sabonis in terms of box outs. Like, cool, great. But also get that improvement with Clingan probably. So I just don't really like – I don't like trading for Sabonis unless the value is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, agreed.
I think the Blazers should be patient.
I mean, I get it for nostalgia reasons and stuff, but like, yeah.
I feel like we'd be potentially trading with the deadline type stuff to recoup the pick. I don't know. I mean, the Blazers, if they trade for him, would see it out. But it's like, how are you not just the Kings 2.0 then? We should try not to be like the Kings. All right. Next one. Portland Trailblazers mock off season. Look, people are copying us. An Anthony Simons trade and something. Oh, it was with Locked On Blazers. Oh, it's a video. Okay, not watching it.
That was like KCP
Yeah.
16, I think, for yeah.
I don't like getting back KCP. I want expiring contracts. I want Cole Anthony. I want Gary Harris in 16 for Ant.
Chauncey would love KCP, though.
Yeah, KCP would probably start over Scoot. Forget that there would be no point guard in that lineup. All right. Trade idea lands Karl Anthony Towns in Portland. All right.
There we go.
This just kind of piggybacks on the defensive conversation around Sabonis. So, this is from Andy Bailey in a Bleacher Report article. And the proposal is Ayton, Thibault, the 11th pick, and a 2032 first-round pick swap to the Knicks for Karl Anthony Towns, which is less than Sabonis. Less than the Sabonis trade idea. It's kind of the same sort of package. So I'll type out, would you trade, I'll type out the full package. Would you trade Ayton, Thibault, it's going to be a lot of typing, number 11, and the right to swap 2032 first for Cat. All right, yes or no, vote in the chat poll. Give us your thoughts. So I'll go into his thought, like the writer's thoughts on the proposed trade. They say Anthony Simons, Demonic Mara, and Denny Avdia look ready to push for a playoff spot now, and Towns would help them do that. His outside shooting would widen slashing lanes for all of the above, and Portland has a defensive culture strong enough to cover for some of Towns' weaknesses there.
That was the exact quote I was talking about earlier, and that's it. That's incorrect. That's not. We can't just replace Clingan with a non-defensive center again and then say, "Oh, our defense is going to be fine because we have Tamani and Denny."
I would do this trade actually. I would do this trade. I think the difference for me in this trade is like one is just really good value. Two, Cat can shoot. So at least you're like really solving that issue. And three, Cat could play next to Clingan. Right? We saw Cat next to Gobert. They made a Western Conference Finals. Cat was a huge part, despite his defensive struggles, and the Knicks making an Eastern Conference Finals. Like, he's at least proven that he can be a top two player, a number two player on a team that contends. You still have the problem of trying to find your number one, but that's the position the Blazers are in anyway. I would not give up much more, and I don't think the Knicks take that at all. Like, I think that's nowhere near good enough value for the Knicks. Why would they want picks right now? Like, it just doesn't make any sense for the Knicks. There's no way they do that. I don't think there's any realistic trade between the two teams that would get both of them to agree to it unless the Blazers are overpaying. But it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, the Timberwolves had a really good defense with Cat in tow, but they had like Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, and Rudy Gobert, right? So hopefully you got your Gobert in Clingan. You got your Jaden McDaniels at least in Tamani Kamara, right? It's just like, if you want to be competitive next year, you can't start Sharpe and Cat together, right? It just doesn't make sense. Like, it would almost make sense to what's crazy is it almost makes sense to see what you could get for Sharpe on the trade market if you get Cat and you plan on keeping Ant. Otherwise, it's like I would want Scoot and his better defense and his like. I think Cat would open things up a lot for Scoot in a way that might help Scoot. Like I am even more on the you trade Ant, you start Scoot, and you have Scoot, Sharpe, Tomani, Denny, Cat, and you hope Scoot can take a jump defensively, and that can still be an above average defense. And then you hope that Cat can open up the lane for Scoot and see what type of jump Scoot can make.
Here's the problem with Cat and why the Blazers will not trade for him. $53 million this year, $57 million the year after that. Player option for $61 million 3 years from now.
Well, if they could get Jeremy Grant out in the deal. And you know they like their wings there in New York, right? But like this trade package, yeah. I mean, their books are clean enough next year that I could see them maybe being willing to take that on. Like even after that trade, they still might be projected to have cap space next offseason.
They didn't even want to pay Dame.
Yeah, but they were like always flirting with the tax. And they're selling the team. So I don't know. Who knows? Like it's up in the air. Are there rumors the Knicks are shopping Cat? I mean, it's been talked about, but I don't think like it's any like really legitimately strong rumors. But you never know. People didn't expect him to get traded last year, and he did. So,
yeah, that trade came out left field.
I almost think like a trade for Cat would be Ayton and Simons in like Thibauld's too much money, but like I think Simons would make sense from both teams' perspective to include in the trade. It'd be more value for the Knicks to get the deal done, and it makes sense for the Blazers. But yeah. Anyway, 63% say no, 37% say yes. At least we got closer to 50-50. Can we get a good trade idea that we like?
But you accepted that one.
What's up? Yeah, I accepted that one. But I just mean as a collective group. All right, Blazers and Lakers should come together on a DeAndre Ayton deal.
Who is this one from?
This is from Adrian. I'm going to mess up his last name, but he's with Blazers Edge. Love how you just growed it every.
No, I like hearing if it's DeAndre Ayton to the Lakers. I want it to be like a Lakers or a national person.
Yeah.
If it's us trading away our crap, like I hate when it's a Blazer person doing it because
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's a suggested trade in this. Because it goes into the Mark Williams deal, Ayton's contract, and the return. As the return goes, the Blazers aren't getting the Williams package. Yeah, I mean, I wish. I wish. Let's start with the returning salary. Rui Hachimura is a no-brainer with 1 year left. Yeah, I don't think the Blazers would get him in an Ayton trade, but maybe. From here, the Lakers could add Dorian Finney-Smith, but my guess they prefer to keep Finney-Smith and opt for one of three $11 to $11.5 million players in Max Kleber, Gabe Vincent, Jarrett Vanderbilt. Yeah. You're looking at like...
They're not giving us a Rui and...
No, well, that's what he says. Like, they said they could add him, but like they'd keep... So, I mean, it'd probably be Kleber, right? So, like, Kleber, Hachimura... the Lakers also have to add Dalton Connect or Shake Milton to make it legal. As for pick compensation, the Hornets would have received an unprotected 2031 first-round pick and swap. The Blazers aren't getting that. True. But if Cronin can walk away with a top 8 protected 2031 pick, I'd be fine. Yeah, like any first-round pick, you take it to the bank and run. Yeah, expiring's in a first-round pick, that's a home run.
Would you do Rui? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Rui, Kleber, and Connect are doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you clear the starting spot for Clingan. You get a third forward in Rui. I mean, I guess you still have Grant, but, like, whatever. Connect fills your backup 2-3 shooting void. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I have a tough time thinking the Lakers are going to throw in value. I feel like it's just going to be like Kleba, Vincent, Vanderbilt in seconds. And I don't want Vanderbilt's contract. He still has 3 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can get Rui and Kleba or Vincent, doesn't matter, and one of Dalton Connect or a future first of some sort, you take that to the bank and you run. Like, that's very good trade. You know, I mean, Chauncey did say if DA's on this roster, right? So I guess that was a sign to Cronin that he needs to trade DA. So, what should I do for the chat poll for this one? Would you trade Ayton for Hachimura, Kleba, and Connect?
Right. Most people would do that.
Okay, you want me to put Shake Milton? I'll do Milton and a second. There we go. There's Chapel. Rui, Kleba, Milton, and a second. For DA, would you do it? I wonder how this poll would look differently elsewhere. Let's look at the Blazers Edge comments. Any assets we can get for Ayton, Grant, and Ant makes the team better, period. All right. This is not like Reddit already.
One person.
If the Blazers could get Connect and Hachimura for Ayton, that's a good trade. The Blazers really need to add better 3-point shooters. This is better than Reddit. I would rather not help the Lakers. Okay, I respect that. How about you play half the season, get half the pay? Anyway, let's see what else we can find. Oh, how does that help the Lakers? Yeah, good point. I love the deal because it'd be sabotaging the Lakers, man. Although Luka would like unlock DA or some crap. We got the Rose Garden report, Sean Hyken's article. Who do the Trailblazers most need to trade this offseason, if you want that answer?
Who does he say?
So the question was, is there any current Blazer player who, if still on the roster at the start of next season, would make you feel that our front office has let the team down? And I'm not going to read it off because it's like... Although this isn't... I can read the whole thing, so I guess it's not behind a payroll. Let's see. His answer is Jeremy Grant. Basically. Yeah. His answer is Jeremy Grant. I agree. So for the Ayton trade, about 60-40 split, yes, no. So we finally got yes. Who do the Blazers need to trade most? is a good poll to do here. I need to get a quieter keyboard. We got Ayton. We'll do Simons. We'll do Grant. We'll do Robert Williams.
Not Scoot?
I know you want me to put Scoot as an option so you could vote for it, but
I don't vote in chat polls so I don't skew the results.
why, you think your vote is worth more than a chat vote?
No, I just like to see it without my influence. It goes back to the picks against the spread. I would just close the poll so I don't.
Well, YouTube heard you.
About it.
All right, here you go. You ready? Trailblazers Hail Mary offer to land Giannis Antetokounmpo from Rip City Project. All right. Okay, chat says Grant. All right. So here's a trade package for Giannis, all right? The Bucks receive Ayton, Scoot, Clingan, Sharpe, 2029 first round pick, most favorable Milwaukee, Portland, or Washington. 2028 and 2030 Milwaukee swap rights extinguished. The number 11 pick and 2 second round picks for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Patty Fastball, Pat Connaughton.
Can you go through that again? Scoot, Sharpe, Clingan, what else?
Ayton, Scoot, Sharpe, Clingan, 2029 first, best of Milwaukee, Portland, Washington, extinguishing the swaps, the 11th pick and 2 second round picks.
So Giannis is our center then?
Robert Williams? Well, maybe we sign a center.
Yeah.
I assume would be the play. 2029 first, best of. I'm trying to type out this whole trade in 100 characters. I don't know if it's possible. Swaps extinguished. Number 11.
Man.
Best swaps. Swaps gone. That's what I'll say. Number 11 pick for Giannis. All right.
Did we give up the best of 2029?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, you'd have Simons, Denny, Tamani, Giannis, and then maybe you sign a center. And then off the bench, you still have Thibault, you still have Rob Williams.
Did you say Grant?
You still have Grant. I mean, that team could be pretty good next year. Could that team make a Pacers run next year?
Yeah. They do need to add a couple pieces, but
I'm on the fence. I knew chat was gonna hate this trade though, because everybody loves a young prospect and trading all that for Giannis. But I mean, if we would contend, I would trade the youth movement for true contention over the next 5 years for sure. I mean, we're just hoping the youth movement turns into true contention, right?
yeah. Giannis does turn 31 this season. I mean, it's not super old, but he is.
He'll be dominant in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah. I think I'm with Jackson. If it was 2 out of the 3 young guys, I'd do it.
Or if you... Well, you're not going to be able to keep the best 2029 first because
if you kept
Milwaukee
11 or
wants
something,
their picks back.
Yeah.
So chat says 82% say no. All right. What if you took out one of the young players? Would you do it?
You know, it'd be hilarious story.
What?
All the Dame haters who love Scoot and Sharpe, now becoming Bucks fans.
With all the Dame fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
'Cause
pair
Drake's
them
still
up.
there.
I'll take Giannis. That's funny. Yeah, I'd do it if you took out one of the young players. It'd be tough to do it if you included all of them. Chat seems to feel the same way. Alrighty. Uh, did we ever talk about a trade idea that sends Simons to Dallas?
Not really.
And then there's the
Oh,
ultimate pipe dream trade. We got a lot of good ones for you, chat. All right. So, all right, let me just find the package. This is from Atlanta Hawks on SI, so a different team. A different team. All right, you ready? Sorry,
yeah.
I'm still dealing with this cough from like 2 weeks ago. It's brutal. So I'll just say what the Blazers. Well, so the Hawks receive Robert Williams III, Matisse Thybulle. Mavericks receive Anthony Simons and Terrence Mann. It's funny how Thybulle isn't going to the Mavs in this one. So the Blazers are basically trading Robert Williams III, Matisse Thybulle, and Anthony Simons, and the Blazers are getting back Klay Thompson, P.J. Washington, Caleb Martin, Kobe Buffkin, Dwight Powell, a 2031 top 8 protected first round pick via Dallas, and a 2027 second round pick. And a 2029 second round pick.
What is all these players?
Maybe we can trade Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes.
We're not trading Jeremy in this trade,
No.
but we're adding PJ Wash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like let's just assume they would make a follow-up move, maybe flip P.J. Washington, maybe, you know what I mean? It's not like we'd necessarily have to keep P.J. Washington.
Yeah.
Like, if you were the GM and this was presented to you at the start of the offseason, would you take it? Knowing that you have control over how you clean things up after that.
Can you list all the players again that we're getting?
Would you trade... I'm going to type the chat poll. Robert Williams III, Tease, and Ant for Klay, P.J. Washington, Caleb Martin, Kobe Buffkin. For trading Ant, Kobe Buffkin, I'd take a flyer on him as a third card. Dwight Powell is completely irrelevant. I'm not even going to include him in the poll. A 2031 Dallas first. 1-8 protected. 2 seconds. Oh. One to 8. I'm just going to do 1-8. P for protected. 2 seconds. Okay. I'm using up all the characters. I have to fit it in within 100 characters. That's the challenge for some of these trades, all right? So, Blazers trade Simons, Thybulle, Robert Williams. They get back Klay, P.J. Washington, Caleb Martin, Kobe Buffkin, Dwight Powell, 2 seconds, and a 2031 top 8 protected first from Dallas. Would you do this trade, Eric?
Probably not.
I'd do it.
Yeah, I know you would.
I'd do it. I feel like you could get a late first for PJ. And if you're telling me you could maybe get a couple seconds for Caleb Martin. Like, if you're telling me you could trade Simons, Williams, and Thybulle and get back 2 firsts, and Klay is like veteran shooter that could help this team. Kobe Buffkin, young guard who's just been injured but could be a solid third guard. I don't know. I think that's pretty good value, and you have a really good bench next year if you keep PJ. Like, those are the type of guys that could come off the bench, and you could clear the way for the young players to start while still trying to be competitive next year if that's what they want to do. Like, I think it's a trade that makes sense. You just have to clear up like roster spots and roles and whatnot. all bad players, not a great pick from Cooper Mavericks. I mean, it's a pick 6 years from now. Like, that team might be so bad after Kyrie and AD retire that he might demand a trade, and it might be the 9th pick. Like, you don't know.
I actually wouldn't mind having Clay off our bench, but
Yeah. He feels the need of a backup small forward that can shoot, and, like, he wouldn't hurt our maybe it would hurt our defense at this point, but, like, he's a smart
I think
defender,
he's
at least.
fine if he's part of a good team defense. If he
Yeah,
has
for,
to
like,
do
a
it
shooter, for a shooter role off the bench, he's a solid enough defender.
Yeah.
He's not Dalton Connect, you know. Although, I'd rather have Dalton Connect just because he's younger.
Joe Bass is buffing a good player. I did not tune into Atlanta Hawks basketball. He hasn't really played at all.
He's been hurt a lot. Yeah, but I really liked him as a prospect a couple years ago coming out of the draft, and he'd be one of the guys where if you can develop him, could be like a good third guard that could play next to Scoot and Sharpe. So I do like taking a flyer on him. So yeah, I'd do this trade. It's kind of a weird trade, though. But that's why I like doing these. Is sometimes you get these weird trades. There's just different types of packages than what we've talked about before. All right. We got so many articles. We got Jeremy Grant trade idea for an all-star. That was from 3 weeks ago, though, so I don't know. Oh, that was the Garland trade.
Yeah.
The ultimate pipe dream trade for the Blazers. Go on.
Go ahead.
So it doesn't really clearly spell out what the package is, but just reading the article, the Blazers pipe dream trade that gets brought up is Giannis and Dame. Basically the trade I brought up earlier in the offseason. That was so crazy to bring up. So basically it's afterwards the Blazers would have Dame, Tamani, Avdia, Giannis, and Clingan with Grant and Thibault off the bench. So I guess it's Ayton, Simon, Sharpe, maybe Scoot Henderson, and Robert Williams III, and then their picks back. And
who's our point this year?
Huh?
Who's our point guard this year?
Yeah, I don't know, because he just says they would suit up Dame. Honestly, if you still had Grant on the team, you know what I would do? I would maybe just start Denny, Kamara, Grant, Giannis, and Clingan. just to see what the hell happens. You do got two guys that can handle the ball. You do have like Grant, Kamara, Avdia can shoot. Defensively, the switchability there is kind of insane. Like, you're just super lengthy. I don't know. You hope Grant bounces back. That would be interesting. And then Dame recovers. I would want to keep Scoot, though, in that package. This article also says the Blazers would maybe trade their 2027 first. This is from Blazers Edge. Guys, they can't. They can't, Blazers Edge. Shout out to Dave Deckard. But they can't trade their 2027 first. They owe a 2026 first to Chicago. That breaks the Steppian rule. Anyway. The Blazers could have a surprisingly perfect draft trade partner. Let me end this poll. 51% said they'd do that Hawks, Mavs, Blazers 3-team trade. About as even as you can get it on 63 votes. All right. Blazers could have a surprisingly perfect draft trade partner from Rip City Project. Shout out to Rip City Project for giving us the content. Why the Blazers need to get on the phone with the Thunder. The Blazers could trade back from their number 11 pick in exchange for the Thunder's number 15 and 24 overall picks. OKC consolidates its picks to clear up a roster spot. Eric, would you... do you want my answer on this? Because it's kind of like a two-faced answer.
Yes.
Because I'm a two-faced person. Just kidding. Value-wise, I would love to do that, but also I would hate to do it with OKC because I would just feel like whoever they draft at 11 that we should have drafted is going to be the next Jalen Williams, and then we just get like role players.
Can you read the trade again one more time?
11 for 15 and 24
Oh.
with OKC.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
What if they take Coward at 11? What if they're moving up to get Coward?
I just hope that is their Ujmain Jang this year. I would just sit there hoping Coward falls to 15. And then at 24, we start talking about prospects we haven't talked about, like this article brings up Joan Behringer, Nolan Traore if you want a third guard after trading Simons. Let's say you trade Simons. Maybe Liam McNeely or Nick Clifford falls further than we would expect. I don't know, like Danny Wolf.
Maybe get Clayton there too.
Walter Clayton. Yeah, you got some interesting prospects there. I would love to add another first-round pick in this draft. I just wish it would be with a different team than OKC. Because that just scares me, man. It's scary. Blazers clearly fleeced Knicks in blockbuster cat trade. I already read it, but that's a funny title.
For those who were talking about this trade in chat earlier, where was this from? But I was seeing something, Tori, where it was 3 and Paul George for Ayton and Grant or something.
There's no way.
Yeah.
What?
Very unrealistic.
Yeah, like Grant's on a terrible 3-year contract, and so is Paul George, just making more money. Like, what would that accomplish for them? I assume 11 would be going back, but
and then people are fantasizing about then flipping Paul George in 11 to get off his contract, but
how would we get 3 for taking on Paul George while giving them a terrible contract and then be able to reasonably get off Paul George contract with 11? So the Sixers would have to take on Grant and trade 3 to get off Paul George, but then we would just trade 11 to get off of him? That doesn't make sense. That sounds like some mock off-season BS.
It might have been Ayton and Thibault in the original one.
I mean, still, like, you're...
It's expiring, I guess.
You're trading them, they're trading 3 to get off Paul George. How are you going to trade 11 to get off Paul George?
Yeah.
I don't even, like... I would feel scared if they had the 3rd pick, too. I feel like it'd be Ace Bailey. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
What if Anthony was part of the trade and then they got VJ?
Who got VJ? The Blazers?
Yeah.
For taking on Paul George.
So you had Scoot, Sharpe, VJ, Denny, Tamani, Paul George, Clingan.
You still have Grant? Or is it Grant and Simons for PG in 3?
Oh, is Grant and Simons or Ayton and Simons?
It would be funny to have Grant and PG off the bench together. Making a combined $85 million. That's crazy. I don't see what that accomplishes for the Sixers, though. Like, they don't need Simons.
I don't see them doing it, yeah.
There's an article, Blazers now have an ideal trade target if surging rumors are true. A new trade target has emerged and it'd be perfect for Portland, and it is a picture of Trey Murphy I said it on a recent stream. He is this year's Denny Avdia. Um, he's 24. He is athletic, 6'8", shoots
Really
the cover off the ball. Broke out a bit last season, averaged 21 points, 3.5 assists. Like, if there's any way you could get him, man, you do it. Like, for a deal that makes sense. So the article says the Blazers have Anthony Simons and a plethora of bigs to entice the Pelicans, who have shallow guard depth and a questionable center rotation. I guess they have shallow guard depth because of DeJounte Murray's injury. So you have CJ. CJ and Ant together would be so funny. You have CJ. You have Jose Alvarado. Jordan Hawkins has been hit or miss. So this article also says there's also one common thread between the two teams, the Milwaukee Bucks' future draft picks. Because of that, both teams have leverage as facilitators in any potential blockbuster Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. Perhaps Portland could benefit from a multi-team trade where they include the Bucks picks as part of a larger deal that lands them Trey Murphy.
So the Pelicans are going for Giannis in this scenario?
Maybe maybe Giannis is going to a different team and the Pelicans want a player from that team, and therefore they want to give the Bucks their picks back, and the Blazers could help them with that by giving like Şengün. So let's just say it's like Giannis to Houston and the Pelicans really want Şengün, and in order to get the Bucks to let the Pelicans have Şengün instead of taking him back outright, they need control of 2026, 2027, and 2028. Right? The Blazers have 2028. So maybe that's where the Blazers then step in and give the 2028 swap to New Orleans so they can get Şengün so that the Rockets can get Giannis a 14 trade. And the Blazers would probably have to give up like other assets, but maybe that's how you get Trey Murphy for change on the dollar. Just because it's the Bucks pick that they want back and it helps facilitate other things so you can kind of get a good price on Trey Murphy.
What? I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but where are you playing Trey?
I'd be down to start him at the 2.
Over Sharpe?
I mean, I think Trey right now is just a better player than Sharpe. And we're hoping for Sharpe with his upside and this and that. But it's like Trey Murphy has star upside. He averaged 21 points and 3.5 assists last year. And he's a better shooter and he's bigger. I think you could make the argument that you'd start him ahead of Kamara even. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. But I mean, if you're trading Ant too in that package, like I wouldn't hate the idea of starting Denny as a point forward with Sharpe, Trey Murphy, Kamara, and whoever the center is. I think that's one of those trades where you just like pick him and figure it out. Like if you just want to go like we just need more talent, it doesn't matter what the fit. Like all right, that talent better be able to shoot. He can, and like if you can get a good deal on him, that's the type of guy to take that mindset with. But like it'd have to be a sort of trade where like you can get good value on a trade for him. Like let's say it's Ant.
They're probably gonna have to get both swaps up.
I was thinking Ant, the worst of 2029, and the 2028 swap. Maybe it's just the pick outright. to Milwaukee. So Milwaukee would have both their pick and Portland's pick. And then you figure out something with Chicago to, I don't know, change the protections, whatever. I mean, like, I'd do that trade.
So let's Trey Murphy.
So the trade package. Would you trade Simons, a 2028 first, and the worst 2029 first of Milwaukee?
Probably gonna take both swaps at least. Maybe even the best of those picks.
I mean, at that point, are you even getting it? You're not getting change on the dollar. And the point is you're supposed to be able to get a good deal. If the Pelicans are getting Şengün, like, they should be making up that other value. The Bucks control their future for like 3 years.
Why would they just ask for all the Bucks picks? Or why would those all be going to the Bucks?
What?
Why wouldn't the Bucks be demanding all their picks back in this scenario?
Because there's probably other pieces of the trade in a 4-team trade. Like, the Rockets aren't just going to be able to get Giannis for only Şengün.
Yeah, but they're trading him to New Orleans to get the Milwaukee picks, right?
Yeah, but, like, Houston's also going to be trading Milwaukee stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, maybe
I just think if we're involved with the trade,
maybe it's like Jabari Smith plus Reed Shepherd plus like 2 other firsts plus 3 of their own first back, like, and they can control their rebuild and they get 2 young pieces. I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is there's other values for other teams in this trade. So I'm trying to think of like the best trade the Blazers could get in for like trading back value. Maybe it's like Simon's 2028 swap rights extinguished in the best of 2029. And the best 2029 first. Portland, Milwaukee, Boston for Trey Murphy. All right, we'll see what this poll says. Yeah, I think that trade structure makes a little bit more sense. You just extinguish the swap rights in 2028 and trade the 2029 best and Simons for Murphy. Would you do that trade, Eric?
Probably.
Yeah, I probably would too. I'm on the fence, but I don't know. Like, I think it's just like, how good could Trey Murphy be? I mean, he averaged 21 a game last year, and he's 6'8" athletic and a sniper. Who would you rather have straight up, Sharpe or Murphy? That's a tough question, huh?
If we're trying to make the playoffs, I'd rather have Murphy. If we're still going to rebuild the right way, I'd rather have Sharpe.
I think I'd just rather have Murphy in both scenarios.
Yeah. Well, I famously wanted to trade the 3rd pick for Murphy and Herb Jones in a first. I think we could have gotten it.
Oh, I'm muted. I said, yeah, I don't know. I like Murphy. I feel like he's this year's Denny. This is kind of a Denny type of trade, although Murphy, I think, has a little bit more value. So instead of Brogdon, it's Simons. and you're just extinguishing swap rights. You're really only giving up one future first. That's where I just wish we had more draft capital. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with giving up first like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with the rebuild, is they did not maximize their future draft capital to have the ammo to easily make a deal like this, because I'd easily do it with a couple extra first round picks. I'd probably still do it, but it'd be tougher because your draft capital is just, you trade a single first this year and you extinguish swap rights, like you're kind of dwindling your draft capital there.
Yeah,
but I think that's a good one to end it off on. Trey Murphy. We got almost 200 people in here at 11:54. Peaked out at 200 viewers. Beautiful, man. We appreciate you guys. We're going to be live for the draft. Make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you hit the like button. We'll answer questions for 4 or 5 minutes if you have any. We haven't really answered many questions in a while. And then we will wrap up the stream, and we're going to do a mock draft on Thursday is the plan. Should Chris Paul become a Blazer like they are saying? If the Blazers trade a guard, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, my issue is if they play him like they played Banton and Brogdon, players like that, when we already have.
Banton, they kind of played with two guards a lot, so I feel like that's a little different. But, do you guys think Asen? How do you say his name? I don't know how to say it.
Sengu, I think.
Sengu? I have not heard that. Now I'm second guessing myself even more. I thought it was a Senge. I think it's a Senge.
It's a Sengu.
Chat. I've heard it pronounced in broadcast as a Senge. How do you say?
A Senge.
I mean, with it being French, a lot of French words ended in A. Taylor Packer says, I say Asenga. Excuse me. Tori got it right. Let's go. I finally got it right. I've just been saying it wrong this whole entire time, though, because I keep saying it like Asengwe. Asenge. Do we think Asenge is going top 10? The talk right now is that he is. This is why we need to do a mock draft on Thursday. The talk right now is that Asenge is going to go top 10. What was funny is I saw Rafael Barlow say that he doesn't think he's... Somebody tweeted at him, like, I'd love for the Raptors to take him at 9, and Rafael Barlow said, I don't think he'll be there at 9. So we'll see. It
seems weird to me.
Yeah, he's been playing well lately, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I guess if Ricochet went 1 last year...
Like, could he go top 5?
I don't know, man.
Like, is there a chance a team would take him over Ace Bailey?
Sounds so weird. I don't know.
It sounds weird because it's just against consensus, but like there's always weird stuff that happens. Like Koulibaly at this time in his draft was still like around 20th range, I feel like, and then he like just climbed. Like we heard this stuff about Koulibaly, and then he went 7th. I feel like Asenge is this year's Koulibaly.
I just don't think he's got the potential off the dribble that
I don't either.
Some of those risers had, which limits why. Like I don't understand why you would take him that high. If Because like even Koulibaly, you had
Yeah.
a chance of him becoming a creator type at some point,
Yeah.
along with like lockdown defense. But
I mean, Koulibaly's good because of his defense, but he's 28% from three this year.
yeah,
Like, he took a step back there. He averaged 3.5 assists in 33 minutes, but like 12
he was
points a
hurt
game.
a lot.
Yeah, he played 59 games. He's still super young, so who knows with the creation, but it's not really there yet. But like the defense, some passing flashes are. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind if a team before us took him. I don't really see it. Like, I need to go watch his tape from the games he played recently because he's played well. It's just like he's just like straight line driver. Doesn't really have much juice off the dribble. Like, he's fluid but not super athletic. You know what I mean? It's tough. But yeah, when we do our mock draft, we'll look at like rumors, maybe each pick, and talk about some of the rumors. Like, we'll really go in depth and think it through based on like what the talk is right now, just to give you guys an updated kind of view on the draft to prepare you. Let me. I'll search NBA draft rumors real quick. Is there any other questions you wanted to?
No.
Okay. So there's a rumor. There was a rumor today the Pelicans like Ace Bailey. There's a lot of like KD to San Antonio stuff right now. That's kind of what I expect at this point.
Yeah.
There wasn't last year, like there was a lot of trade rumors this time last year, and then only one top 10 pick got traded, and it was like the one we didn't expect to Minnesota, like to draft Dillingham. Am I remembering that correctly? So I don't know. Like, it seems like there's going to be a lot of trades, but it always ends up being a bit of a buzzkill on draft day.
I mean, maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I haven't seen a ton of rumors in general in terms of like draft pick buzz, and I mean, like the one we just talked about, I guess, with him going in the top 10. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just haven't heard a lot about workout buzz or smoke screens or anything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's just still have 2 weeks, but like,
yeah.
By now, usually we have some like, oh, Dame's killing it in workouts or something, you know.
Yeah. I think teams are trying more and more to keep it under wraps, but there's a lot more trade talk than normal. I feel like a lot more trade rumors than normal surrounding some of these picks. Who knows if it comes to fruition or not? Because some years there's a lot of talk and it doesn't. But this year could be kind of a chaotic draft with teams moving all over the place. Like the Sixers could trade down from number 3 is a rumor. And I honestly think they probably should. I don't like Ace Bailey there at all. So if a team really wants Ace Bailey and you can trade down to New Orleans for 7 and then take like Clingan and get other assets, that's probably the best thing for the Sixers if they still want to try and win with Embiid. So you have some teams that have talent drafting pretty highly. You got the Rockets at 10. Even the Pelicans, when healthy, have pieces. They're drafting at 7. The Jazz supposedly want to win. You got the Spurs at 2, right? The Mavs at 1. They're not going to do anything, of course, but the Sixers at 3. It's just a interesting draft order. So we'll take a look at that on Thursday. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this live stream. Hit the like button on the way out of here. Easiest way to support the channel. We didn't do a chat poll for likes today, so you can reward us. If you don't like the chat poll for likes, you can reward us by hitting the like button. We'll be live again on Thursday. We'll have a Hoops Crush on Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah, it should.
Yep, so you guys will dive into, I'm sure, the NBA Finals because the next game is on Wednesday. We'll see if the Pacers can defend home court because they have home court advantage now. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!